Welcome back. I'm Gary Parr.
And I'm Beth Ellicott.
And you're listening to the midweek version of the Fiber Talk podcast that we do twice a week for needlework artists. Ooh, that was enthusiastic, wasn't it? Wow.
I know.
I was pumped up on that one. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to do it over. Too much hassle.
It's just a busy week. Busy week.
There we go. Yep. All right. Podcast this week, Stitch Hour next week. Sunday's guest is Dr. Susan K. Williams, the Chief Executive of the Royal School of Needlework. This is like the fifth or sixth time we've talked with Susan, and it's always a treat, and we always learn a ton of things. And this week we're going to get an update on the Royal School Stitch Bank, which is a tremendous resource for needleworkers around the world. And then learn more about what is going to happen at the U.S. International Summer School in here in the States. So, and then we've got several other things we want to talk to her about. So all of that will be Sunday, so don't miss that one. Okay, I finished Sarah Parr. Yay!
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, so did you like working on it monogamously?
Yeah, because I got to that point where I was just on a mission. Yeah. Because, I mean, I've picked away at it for what, 3 years? 2 years? I don't know, forever. Yeah. And then, yeah, I just reached that point, the last band where, I see the end, let's go. And, yeah, so I just set everything aside and just went for it and pounded it out.
So I was wondering, when did you hit that point where you're like, okay, so it was the last band. That was where you decided, okay, I see the finish line.
Yeah. It was. Well, I mean, it was a good 75, maybe 80% done somewhere in there. But yeah, then it was full tilt. Let's go because it can get done. Right. And I would have. I mean, I actually got to that point back in October where I could see the end. But then job travel, 2 trips in October, and then we went to Arizona, and then holidays, and I got sick, and I lost the time, and then
right.
We got done with our podcasts for the holidays, and couple of weeks there stretched out before me, and I really had very little I had to do for very little in terms of obligations. And it was just, all right, shut the door in my room, turn on the movies, and let's go. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
I would emerge when Margaret said meals are ready, and that was it. Yeah.
Man, nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I'm looking at Susan, and I'm down to the bottom section pretty much. And I'm thinking, if I really worked on only this, there's a good chance I could get it done by the end of January, beginning of February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I can't concentrate. I mean, I work on it and I'm like, oh, look at that shiny object over there. I better go work on it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you've flown through that thing too. Susan Schlichter.
Yes.
Queenstown. Barbara Hudson. Queenstown. Yes.
Yeah. I started it in July.
Holy smokes. And you're down to the end?
Yes, I'm on the last row of vases at the bottom. And then I have to...
There's some density in the middle of that thing. Holy smokes, Beth.
I know. But I just couldn't stop working on it. The colors.
Clearly.
The picture does not do it justice. The colors are fantastic. And I am using DMC. Except for one color, which is a Cosmos. But it is just gorgeous in the charted DMCs. It is fantastic.
Okay. And, one skein of Cosmo. Can you tell? Does Cosmo blend in well with DMC?
Yes, and I think it was. So Kim kitted it for me, and then she said she couldn't. There was one color she didn't have.
Got to interrupt you. Kim is Kim Young at Sassy Jacks Stitchery, for those who don't know. Go.
Yeah. So she sent Cosmos in replacement of one of the colors, and it's a major color on the border, and it looks great. It blends in fine. I don't know what the DMC color would be, but it looks great.
Yeah. All right. Because that can come up. Because sometimes if you mix brands of threads, it's obvious, and
Yeah.
in this case, good. So that's one more on the plus side for Cosmo threads is blend right in with DMC. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I'm jealous. You got your package of Cosmos, your Cosmos
Yesterday.
Club is art. Man, I am so jealous. I don't think mine's coming till Wednesday.
Whoa. Usually yours is 2 or 3 days ahead of me. Holy
I
smokes!
know.
I'm marking this one down. Yeah.
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 I saw you.
You out in the hinterland usually get it a couple days ahead of me in suburban St. Louis. Yeah. Explain that.
Yeah. I think the snow has kind of slowed everything down here. So.
Oh, yeah. We don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yep. Well, that's good to know about Cosmo because I have not mixed them. So, yeah. Because I did an Instagram post about the Cosmo Thread Club, which, yeah, I mean, it's a great way to get Cosmo thread because now we have 6 volumes. What Kim's calling them volumes, 6 bundles of threads. And so I laid them all out on the table. Man, that's a nice collection. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm getting the variegated, so I'm looking forward to seeing what colors are next on that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just nice thread. So yeah, Thread Club, Cosmo Thread Club at Sassy Jacks Stitchery, is back in action. So sign up and you can start getting your own bundles of thread. Yeah, because I'm gonna. I had some project. Ann Ferguson. That was it. Yeah.
Kathy Andrews.
Yes.
Just released it. So yeah, I've got to finish Susan. When Susan's done, I might start seeing what I have to do that one.
Yeah, Ann Ferguson. Yeah, because I'm gonna try and do that all with Cosmo. Yeah.
That's a good plan.
Yep.
Good plan.
Well, I mean, that's the other part. Okay, I've got this pile of thread sitting here. What am I going to do with it? Well, I better find a place. So,
right.
Yeah. So, yep, join up for that. And then I got my Sassy Jacks Customer Appreciation thing too. I'm a member of the Cool Kids Club now.
Yeah, it's called the Loyalty
Customer
Club.
Loyalty Club.
Customer Loyalty, yes. And I'm glad you joined the Cool Kids. I hated for you to be left out.
Well, I felt like an outcast, quite frankly.
Yeah, well.
So now I've got the official thing right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's another thing. And then yesterday, we're recording this on Tuesday. So yesterday, Martin Luther King Day, I took the grandsons to the movie theater. And then the meeting spot was Michael's because our daughter had to get, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Wasn't my problem. At Michael's. So we met there and we got there early. And this particular Michael's had a second floor with an escalator.
Wow.
Which, I didn't know those existed. But so then, of course, the boys wanted to ride up the escalator. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll ride up the escalator and ride down. We got time to kill. Well, at the very top was the needlework stuff. And, all right, we've got to take a look at that and see what they have. Well, they had these laser-cut wood shapes. What is it, 11 or 12 mesh. There's a star and a heart, and then there's a small square and a large square with rounded corners. So I just picked up, it was $6 for a package of like 4 little stars that are maybe 4 inches on the long side and hearts and this small square. Like $6 for 4 of those, and then $6 for 2 of the 8-inch square. Basically could be like a trivet type thing.
Oh.
And so I thought, well, all right, I'm going to take some of these and play with them. So then I posted a picture and got some good advice on that from Tim Buckheim and Kelly Berkey Freeman. that they had used these and made things with them. And it's wood, so use short thread lengths. Yeah, I had that figured out. I figured that wood will just fray up your thread in a hurry. So got to do that, and you can't use a bigger needle to make a bigger hole because the holes are kind of what they are.
They are what they are.
Yeah, but this is the part, and this would apply to any laser cut thing, is soot in the holes.
Oh.
And yeah, they both commented that, especially light colors, that when you pass it through these holes, it will pick up soot from the laser burning the holes. Because the holes and the edges are discolored because it's basically burning the wood. And I hadn't thought about that. So you have to use shorter lengths and then be aware of that. And then Kelly said that she had to unpick, defrog the first ones she did, and then she took them and scrubbed them clean with a toothbrush, like in water, and scrubbed them, and then that solved the problem for the most part. So basically, you got to wash these things. But
I'd like to see what they made with them. Do they
I would too.
Just little ornaments?
Well, she says she posted a picture on Instagram and tagged Fiber Talk, but I couldn't find it.
Okay.
So I got to look harder. But anyway, yeah, I mean, they're perfect little ornaments. Ideal. Because they have a hanging hole at the top. And, ideal little ornaments. And somebody else said that they did a bunch of these and then had them as favors at a needlework gathering.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to find a design that's small enough.
Right.
But that would be fun.
Right.
That would be fun just to fill it in.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could, any number of things. I mean, I'd go to, like, the stars and stuff. I mean, even, like you say, just to fill in a star, that would be okay.
Right. And I was just thinking, if you wanted to go crazy, could you count out like a Jessica?
Yeah.
And put it in there and then add around it something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it wouldn't. You wouldn't. Don't make it a project. Just do something simple like that. Yeah.
Right. Because it looked like the wood was nice. It's not like it's ugly.
It's that typical laser cut wood.
Mm-hmm.
That they cut things out of, and I don't know, was it 1/8 of an inch thick, something like that? Some kind of poplar, I think it said that it was, and Tim says have plenty of needles ready because it's real easy to bend and or break needles doing this. Yeah, because the wood doesn't give. But
right.
So that was just one of those, and I picked them up, and Sarah, our daughter, said, "What are you gonna do with those?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know. Play with them. Yeah.
Play.
Yeah. Stick some thread in, see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be fun.
Yep.
I might have to make a Michael strip tomorrow.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I never go in those big box stores. I stay away from them. But there I was. So make hay, and I did. I'd never seen anything like this, but apparently, Tim and Kelly both commented right away, so they have obviously had experience from some time ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think people are always looking for, we're over Christmas and ornament exchanges, but that might be a nice way to make something for an exchange or a little stitchy gift. If they're small enough, I don't do this, but people that add doodads to their floss rings, I don't know how big are they? You said, like, how big is that star?
The star is, I was just getting a ruler out to give you that exact measurement. So if you hold the star with one point on the top, point to point, side to side, 4 inches.
Well, that's not that big.
No. And the heart is The heart at its fattest point is 4 inches. Yep. And the square with the small square with rounded edges, also 4 inches. So they're all the 4-inch size, and then the bigger ones are 8. So four for the small size and 8 for the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So that might, that would be fun to stitch, maybe make something for a stitching friend, or, if you like adding those little doodads to your floss rings, so you know which one is which.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of just random rings of floss like I sometimes have. Yeah.
Well, and on the 8-inch one, I'll tell you what I was thinking is I would go to some of the Avlia patterns.
Oh, yeah.
And because that could be a thing to set a potted plant on or something. But, yeah, leave the center open and stitch an Avlia pattern all around the outside.
Oh, yeah. So truly make it into a trivet.
Right.
But even the smaller ones, because she's got their nice little motifs in her designs.
Right.
Stitching one of those in there.
Yeah. Yep. Because that was the first place I thought was where can I get repeating patterns that aren't real involved, and she has a ton of them.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh. So that was kind of a cool find. Which I'm sure people who frequent Michael's all the time probably knew about him. No big surprise, but I don't, and so it was a find. Yep.
That's good. It's good to know something else to use for your stitching.
Yep. So that was kind of cool. Yep. All right, I got to hear you are working away on this dawn to dusk thing. What are you doing? You are flying.
Well,
you doing your own thing all the way?
Yeah. So I'm using her, whatever stitches she's using, and I'm just changing the colors.
Karen Dudzinski Textured Treasures, for those who wonder.
Yes. And because I'm changing the colors, you have to rip. Because sometimes what you think is going to work is not going to work. And I'm working on black canvas, which, is always a bear anyway. But right now I'm working on trying to figure out the border. And I'm doing the border with my fingers just so you can see. And then center,
I can see that clearly now.
And the center brocade. And I realized I need to figure that out before I go any further, because it'll influence what I do in all those little motifs. I don't want to wait till the end and say, oh, now what? And so I worked the border, and I was using a gray, and it reads white on the black canvas. It's too light.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'll try a red. And I thought, well, I have all this colorist DMC that I'm using in the motifs. I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. And so I did that, and I thought, oh, that looks awfully busy. But I've left it. I've stitched that, and I've left it in, because I think sometimes you need to look at it for a while and make sure before you just start ripping. But I think both of those will come out, and I'm going to try a maroon, because it needs to be a color. I thought, well, maybe I should do it in black, which would be totally nuts, black on black. But it would work. It would work if it was black.
White on white works. Why wouldn't black on black work?
It would work, but that would be a pain to stitch, I think.
Well, yeah. But you made the choice, so
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, I have to remember while I'm stitching it. You think it's just this satin stitch border going around the edge, but it isn't. She's got there's cryonet going around after you put the satin stitch in. Somehow incorporated in going around that border than when you just do a quick glance.
Yeah.
So I need to make some decisions. My major problem, though, is I was really trying to stitch using my stash, but because this is a huge piece, I have a cry neck that I could use for the brocade, but I have one spool of a cry neck. You need at least two.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, okay, so I've got to check and make sure what I want to use in the brocade or I'm going to use in the piece before I start ordering, so I don't have problems with dye lots. So yeah, it's a process. It's all a process. I'm trying not to just say, well, I'm just going to buy all the colors and then I'll have them, because I don't need more inventory. Thank you very much, Cindy Baldwin.
Go for it. Buy them all.
I need to try to use what I have, but it's a pain if you don't have two of something.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I'll have one, but I need two. So it's like,
So you bought then a colorway from Karen.
Correct.
Okay, so you had all the threads, the whole thing as she designed it. But now as you go through it, then you're saying, all right, I'm going to start modifying, and it isn't just changing one color. You're looking at the whole design and saying, what can I do with that, given the base that Karen put together?
Correct. And I really am not using any of her colors from the colorway. I bought Tuxedo, and it's beautiful in the black and white. It's gorgeous. But I realized I wanted to use red and grays and black, and I thought, okay, I'm totally changing this. I think the outside border is I'll use the cry neck she sent with that, because it works. It's a color I had it. I have some of those in different sizes. But yeah, I'm basically changing the whole thing.
Huh. And you're doing it on the fly, so it's a pure experiment as you go.
Correct. And the thing is, with her, she used so many different threads. I don't know if you've looked at your thread pack recently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not just like, okay, you have a rainbow gallery and a few DMCs. She's using different DMCs even than I don't think I've ever used one of those before. Oh. It's a really thick cotton thread. And I thought, maybe I can use this thread, because it's the right color in my piece. And that makes it fun, because then you look at the threads she's given you and you say, okay, what do I have that's similar to this? Like a similar weight, similar shine, or am I going to change it? Am I going to make it matte, or am I going to make it shiny? How can I change this to make it my own?
Yeah.
With what I have. That's one of the things I'm trying to keep it with. What do I already have that I can use?
Right. But see, that's part of it. And I think that applies to just about any project, especially if you're going to change it, is evaluating the project and saying, all right, there's a lot of this color. I better make sure I have, the chart calls for one skein. I might want to have 2 skeins or 3 skeins of the same dye lot, so that I can tear things out and not feel like I'm about to run out.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's something that's worth looking at, because I hate having to scrimp on thread, and you're going to run out and it's going to be close, and you start using thread that's a little frayed, and give me another skein, and because there's somebody wrote about Sarah Parr. She got the chart for Sarah Parr, and then she asked what I used, and I told her in my response, make sure you have a couple of extra skeins of these 2 colors, because you'll use them, because it doesn't say that. And it's just they're 2 colors that are used an awful lot, and if you have to tear out at all, you're going to end up short. And
right.
and better to have it and throw it back in the drawer when you're done than to go, oh no, I can't get it anymore. Yeah.
Right. Well, and even on Susan Schlichter, it calls for 2 skeins of some of the greens because you're using so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't used all of one in any of it because I'm just using 1 strand on 36 count. But if you were using 2 strands, like you liked it fuller, then you wouldn't run out. But yeah, you definitely need both skeins.
Yeah.
You definitely. And DMC does dye lots change. So let's say you bought this as a kit, you say, oh, I only need 1 skein, and you come back to it 5 years later and the dye lot has changed.
Yep.
Well, now you're buying 2 fresh skeins, or you're going to have an issue where it changes color.
Yep.
And then I know Krynex dye lots change. Not a lot, but mine are older. I've had them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so some of these I definitely have to go and decide, okay, I'm going to use this color. But I don't want to do a whole lot because I know I need 2 skeins of it. So I need to make sure I'm getting what I need and ordering those in. But
well, yeah, and you said the other thing that plays into this is you kit it up and then 5 years later you come back, and dye lots, but also threads get discontinued.
Correct.
Yeah, and if you're short, then you're posting on Facebook somewhere, someone please have a skein somewhere they can send me of this dye lot or even of this thread because I can't get it anymore. And make sure you have enough when you kit the thing up. It's
right. Especially if you're moving along on the piece, you're halfway done. It's not like you're at the beginning and you're saying, okay, I can just substitute something else. If you're at the beginning of a piece, you're just like, oh, I'll find something else. But if you're already moving down on the piece, it's like, all right, now what? Do I go and rip everything out that I've already put in? And this is huge. This Dawn to Dusk is a huge piece. So it does require multiple skeins of things.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to run out.
Right. Well, and like you can, if dye lots don't match on a reproduction sampler, for instance, you can get away with that by just changing that color in a different motif. It'll be fine. No one will notice and it'll be fine. But on Dawn to Dusk or something like that, that isn't always an option.
No.
Yeah, so you start to monkey around with things like blending colors by using the 2 dye lots.
Right.
Yeah, you can monkey around with it, but it's just so much easier if you just have enough. Yeah.
Right. And especially since like it's got the solid satin stitch border. If I use something that's variegated in there, then you might be able to blend it. But I don't know about the brocade. What would you do? I don't even want to think about it. I want to make sure I have enough. But it's been fun. And I just sent a note. I sent a note and a picture to a friend saying, okay, what do you think about these 2 border colors? And then she said she liked the red one better than the gray one. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll do this instead and I'll just rip it all out. And she's just like, oh no, don't rip. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Ripping is okay. When you're doing, that's the thing. I think if you're changing something in a piece where you're making your own decisions, you've got to be prepared to rip.
Yep.
You just got to, you say, okay, I know I'm going to have to do more ripping. It's going to take me longer to get it done, but I'll like it better in the end. I mean, not that Karen's thing isn't beautiful. Dawn to Dusk is beautiful in any of her colorways. I think you could do any of them, and they're stunning. But I wanted a red colorway, and she hadn't designed a red colorway yet, so I had to pull my own colors.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but and that's the other thing. You want a red colorway, and you have a vision for what that will look like.
Right.
And if you say, Karen, would you do a red colorway? Well, it may be something you don't care for. So.
Right. Right. And I still might change it.
Right. Right. So do your own. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of doing. I think of needlepoint, of counted canvas, is that it's not that it's not impossible to change the colorway. I mean, it's not impossible on cross stitch either, but it's so much fun. You know, you pull an overdyed and you start pulling colors from the overdyed, and
yeah,
it's a blast.
just have fun. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, and you know, having enough skeins, you know, when you talk about samplers, now you're doing Susan Schlichter, which is a bunch of potted plants, whatever. And on Sarah Parr, there were several where you get branchy stuff. And to me, when I see branchy stuff, where I'm just doing a single row of X's and some, you know, just random out and back kind of thing, that's a signal to me that I need to make sure I have an extra skein of that thread. Because if you misread the chart or you get cocky and just start stitching and then realize that you went the wrong way, you should have gone left when you should have zigged when you zagged,
right?
You know, and then you pull it out. That thread may not come out in good enough condition to use again. And I really kind of have a habit, particularly with silks. If I've stitched something like that and I have to pull it out, a lot of times I'll just throw it away and start with a fresh one, because it to me, going in and coming back out, usually it's taken enough of a beating that it doesn't look as good.
Right. And especially I think too, even with the DMC cotton on this, I'm using Russian tea cake, which I think is a tighter weave. It's a legacy linen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it frays the threads enough. I've started using much shorter lengths of thread, and I do. If I have to rip something out, it's just thrown away.
Yeah.
And I just because it looks too fuzzy, it comes out looking too fuzzy. And,
yeah, for the cost of that length of thread, it's not worth it to keep it and to scrimp and have fuzzy thread. Yeah.
Right.
Pearl cotton is another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't reuse that very often at all because it just loses its luster.
Hey, speaking of pearl cotton, do you use number 3 very much, pearl cotton?
No.
See, and Dawn to Dusk calls for that on the border. And I thought, I'll just use, I have 5. It'll be fine. And I didn't like the coverage.
Yeah.
So, but I don't like, I mean, number 3 is fine, but I don't have a lot of number 3 pearl cotton. And you have to use such short lengths because you're putting it through that hole. I thought, I don't want to mess with that. So I think I'm going to go back and use floss on the border, just because I can lay it nice and flat. I love laying satin stitch.
Yeah.
And I think it'll look fine. But yeah. I was just wondering, is it just me that doesn't have a lot of number 3?
No, I have some. I don't care for it. It's like stitching with rope to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it needs that for that border, because you're doing a padded border. You need something to cover your padding, and you're using number 5 underneath. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go to the floss. Okay, yeah. So it's not just me. It's not just me.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not something I. Yeah. Well, and I tend to use finer mesh ground anyway, so it's pretty rare that I run into it. But yeah, I have some, and yeah, it's like a bundle of rope to me. Yep.
Right. Well, and I can see why she used it here, because you need that to cover the padding. I tried the number 5, and it just, you can see the padding underneath, and I'm like, oh no, I don't like that at all. That's got to come out. That's coming out. Let's just rip that off right now.
Right.
What do I have? What can I use? So.
Well, and yeah, but there's that mental process. You put it in, I don't like it. Well, then take it out, redo it. You know, when we were talking to Nicola Jarvis, and we were talking about her process, and I even asked her, you know, how many just get cast off, and when she talked about these 2 birds, one of the projects is 2 birds, and she essentially finished that project twice and didn't like it. And No, they're out.
Right.
Start
Right.
over. Yeah.
Right. Right. And even here's the other thing, us just bouncing it back and forth, I said, oh, I don't want to do black on black, but now you're making me rethink that because I do have black floss. I already have it. I have plenty of DMC black floss. And that would be, if I'm laying it, the floss, the satin stitch, it'll be shiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I add that gray around it, that just might add a depth to it, especially, and I think there's a stem stitch. I'm doing the stem stitch. You can't see me, but I'm doing the stem stitch around everything. That might really make it pop.
Worth a shot.
We got to hang up because I got to go sit. No. Sorry.
But texture, you black on black, you'd still get the texture. Yeah, you get a little sheen, and then you'd have a texture there that you would not have if it was just black ground. Yeah.
Right, and it's raised. It's a padded.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
I'm going to have to try that. I'm going to have to go rip the gray out and try the black over there. And I wonder if I put like the red thread underneath, because I have lots of the number 5 pearl cotton in this red. If I put that underneath the black, if you'd see a little bit of red.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're covering it, but I don't know if it would do something.
Just peeking through.
Mm-hmm. And just because I don't want to buy, I think I'd have to buy 2, or I don't know how many skeins of the black number 5 I would have to buy to go. And I already have the number in a different color, number 5 in a different color. I'm like, I want to use what I have. Okay. Now you got my little mind going.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. No charge for that.
So, okay, I want to ask you, I know you use corn huskers for your dry hands.
I do.
Have you noticed your hands drier this winter, or is it just me?
I'm going to go with just you, because no, I haven't.
Okay. I just had been noticing that my hands have been super, super dry. I don't know if it's just because we've just had the super cold weather here recently, and I wasn't ready.
That didn't help. Yeah. Do you have a
Yeah.
humidifier in your house?
Yes. We don't use it very often.
No.
But
Yeah, we have one on the furnace. And that's on fall to spring. And, I mean, when the furnace guy we have a furnace guy come twice a year for HVAC and for the furnace, just to service it, because it's worth it. And then he replaces the pad every year. And I think that makes a huge difference.
yeah, and I've been wondering. In the summertime I drink a lot of water,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, have I stopped drinking because it's cold?
Probably.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
I started trying to do that.
Yeah, because that's just it. Is your dry hands, that comes as much from inside as outside your body.
Right.
Dry air. But if you're not hydrated, it's pretty hard for your skin to be moisturized if there's no water in the body. Yeah.
Right. And I'm generally pretty good about drinking water, and I just like, well, what's going on here? So I was just like,
Yeah, it might be worth it to up the hydration. Yeah, corn huskers for me. I have another one. I tried it last night because I was, you mentioned about talking about this, and it's O'Keefe's Working Hands, which is a cream that Debbie Rowley suggested that she likes. It's not greasy, but I feel like there's a coating on my fingers when I put it on. And I tried it again last night just to experience it again, and I just didn't care for it. Corn huskers for me, it moisturizes, it takes all that roughness out, but it goes right into the skin, and I don't feel like I have this coating.
right.
And because I always feel like if I feel like I have a coating on my fingers, then that's going to go in the thread. And do I want that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I know I use, when my hands get really rough, I don't sell this, I buy it from somebody else, but Mary Kay's Satin Hands. It's like a 3 or 4 step process where you rub this cream on your hands and then you put like a scrub on and wash your hands, wash that scrub off so you can get really, rub your calluses, the cuticles and those rough spots, especially on my thumbs. And then you put moisturizer back on and then, it's greasy. So you won't like that feeling, the greasy feeling. But then you leave it on overnight, and I don't know, I find my hands are a lot less rough, especially if I'm working on silk. I take the time to do that.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah, with silk, it's really critical. Boy, that process just made me nod off there. Holy smokes. No.
I figured it would. But it works. It does help. Like we're working on the 17th century band sampler with Swa Goblin, and that I have to have my hands nice and soft and smooth, or it just snags. It unwinds. I have terrible issues with it. So, yeah. But I love it because it has such a beautiful sheen to it. So it's worth the time to make your hands non-rough.
Yeah.
Non-rough. And then someone said they took sandpaper or
what?
They said if they're, yes, like a high grade, what is that? Like what's the grits?
Like 400 count or something?
Yeah, something like that. And like if their hands are really rough, they'll rub that a little bit instead of like an emery board. People will suggest using like an emery board, but she says, yeah, sandpaper worked. And just did that and then put the lotion on before she went, and that just helped get rid of some of those, like if you have little nicks or cuts on your hand.
Yeah.
Just to smooth those out.
Wow.
I thought that's a good idea. And I did it. And it helped.
Really?
Yes.
So just a piece of sandpaper and you rubbed it over your fingers?
Uh-huh. Real fine grit. Nothing you don't want to use.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 20 grit. Like little rocks.
No, that would be terrible. But especially, and I always get nicks in my thumbs. So I'm like, okay, how can I get rid of this so I can work on my silk?
That's most interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, see, it's I did a little research a couple years ago. Marga she's one of those that her fingers crack.
Oh, yeah.
Like she'll have to put super glue in the cracks sometimes.
Ooh.
And she puts lotion on all the time. It's not like she doesn't try. I mean, but I don't know what it is, but in the winter, yeah, it's like that looks like it hurts, but and then I was, what can she do? And one of the things I found was a suggestion that you put lotion on, whatever lotion it is, a heavy amount at night, and then put gloves on.
Yes, I've heard of doing that.
And sleep with those. And I said, hey, try this. She said, no, that's not happening. So, but, there's all kinds of things. But, yeah, and you can see how your hands basically soaking in lotion overnight would help. Yeah.
Right, right. No, I couldn't keep the gloves on overnight. They would be gone. About an hour in, they'd be like, "Okay, this has got to come off."
That's pretty much what Margaret said. Yeah.
No way. No way. Not happening. Not happening.
And then I tried the specialty lotions you can get at Needlework stores for stitchers.
Right.
Spare me. I've tried a couple of them. It's like I had to apply it every 15 minutes. It just didn't have any staying power. And smelled good, was expensive, but I just forget that noise.
Yeah, and I do like the corn huskers. I use that. But when I find that doing a sugar scrub too helps. If you're, it's basically like you put some sort of oil and sugar and make yourself a little scrub. I'm sure you can look it up. The Google would tell you a ratio.
Yeah.
And that works to get rid of some of the rough spots. But
sandpaper.
I know. I know.
Wouldn't have occurred to me. Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, I mean, if your hands are so rough, though, like when I have those little nicks and they're healed, it's just the skin there.
Right.
I'm like, okay, let me rub this off.
Huh.
It worked.
I'll be darned. Huh. And I have all kinds of sandpaper, so I might have to give that a try.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay. Yep. Worth a try. Yep. Okay, here's Beloved, the Beloved project.
Yes.
All right. Now, Vicki Clayton silks, I'm here to tell you, wow.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
Wow. And the shine on those things, wow. Wow.
I know. I think I don't know what silk she's using for her base, but they are beautiful. I know you took them off the spools, but that doesn't bother me. I just rewrapped a little bit around the spool.
Wow.
But yeah, they're nice.
Wow.
They're nice.
I've been stitching on Beloved. I was going to stitch a little bit, and then there's a needlepoint one I want to get to, a Gay Ann Rogers. And I find myself I've been just enjoying it, so I keep working on Beloved. But yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, so that aside, I just came off of Sarah Parr. The chart for Sarah Parr had on every page, it was a black and white chart, and it had on every page the thread table, the symbol and the thread.
Mm-hmm.
And so then on this Beloved, the thread table is on the back. And it's all printed in color. This is another reason why I'm not a big fan of color things.
Right.
So okay, and then on top of that, I've got this list of the conversions that Vicki Clayton did for the silks. So I have the chart on the back of the thing, and then I have the list of conversions from Vicki Clayton. So now, basically, I'm double referencing every time I change colors. So now I got to figure out a way to create my own chart with the symbols.
So what I would do, and what I'm going to do, I haven't done this yet. Okay, first of all, I've already made like black and white copies of the bottom of the chart. So working copies, right? I'm going to make a copy of the back of it, probably in black and white of the chart of the colors of DMC or whatever she's using. Then I'm going to white out and replace them with the Vicki Clayton color.
Okay.
And then I will cut that out, make it a little small, and that will be attached to my my scroll frame or whatever I'm using, or close by, so I can just reference it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm going to do. Hearing you talk about that, it's like, oh yeah, that's something that needs to be done before I stitch that piece. Because you're right. Looking at it and figuring out where I was going to start, I thought, oh, I've got to figure out what green that is. And okay, so now I've got to, you got to do the mental gymnastics. Okay, this is what in Vicki Clayton's silk. Right. But I think just going and taking the time to write it down, and right next to the symbol, because the symbols are already there. You don't have to redo the symbols.
Right.
Just white it out and away you go.
Yeah. So that, that could work because, and see, this is the thing is she has, and not complaining, I mean, the chart is very well done, but she has on the back, so she has the symbol and then it's a table and then the color for that thread or a reasonable facsimile fills that up, fills up that cell in the table.
Right.
So, but no, I see here now. Okay, so that's a good idea. So I'll copy that in black and white. That'll give me the symbols, and then then just white out and write in the Vicki Clayton number.
Correct.
Yeah, But so handy to have that on every page.
Yes, I so agree. I so agree. And especially since this is, the when we get to that bird section, that's going to be
Right.
very dense with colors, and you want that. You don't want to be like, okay, what color is this symbol here, and to find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to have something that's laying on the scroll frame somewhere, basically that I can see through my magnifier, so I know what I got coming up here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think making a copy of it, and then I might even laminate it somehow, because it's going to be used a lot. You're going to. And since it's just a paper copy, it's not going to have any staying power, but I'll need it for all the pages. I might as well laminate that baby.
Yeah, well, I made paper copies. And for the record, protect the copyrights. We have our own copy of the chart. We're making working copies, and then we pitch the working copies when we're done.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We do not keep them. We do not share them. We do not copy and give to other people. Buy your own.
Buy your own. Buy your own. Yeah. No, this is just so I can. In fact, I think I could. Sometimes I even blow them up just a little bit to make them a little easier for me to see. But,
and then when you make your copies, she does not number the pages.
Yes.
So you have to make sure you number the pages.
Yes. So you know where you are. So you don't get lost and do the wrong thing on the wrong spot, wrong stitch.
But it's those little, the little things that make a difference in a chart design. Yeah. Because the chart, I mean, it's very clear. It's well done. I mean, she's obviously used some software for it.
Right.
But it's very clear. It's nice.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful. It'll be beautiful to stitch up.
Yeah.
Now make me want to do Susan even more.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the ground cloth and threads for this beloved. I'm happy with the choice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, slate frames.
Slate frames. We have bigger ones coming. But I love. I just looked at mine again, and
we're ridiculous. Okay, you realize that?
Yes, I do know that. Yeah. So when I finish my panels that I've got on the old slate frame for my casket, when I get those done, I'm going to move to the Jen Aiden Christie one. I don't want to unstitch that from the old slate frame, but
right.
I'm thinking though, you started the pineapple by
Okay,
Kathy
so
Andrews.
just to lay the groundwork. So what we did is we had Access Commodities slate frames.
Yes.
And then when Kathy Andrews was helping us, when she was setting up my slate frame and showing Beth how to do hers, when Beth could just go, that was very wonderful. And we're really glad that Kathy has found herself cancer-free. So yay for that.
Yes.
But when the Access Commodities, when she picked them up, her reaction will not soon be forgotten.
No.
And then when you got us 18-inch Jenny Aiden Christie slate frames, holy smokes.
Yes.
Like 3 levels better, otherworldly better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about lacing up the Kathy Andrews pineapple onto that, onto the 18-inch ones, because, that would make it a joy to stitch. Just a joy. Because I thought about doing it in a hoop. And I was like, no, I don't want to. No. I think this would be so much better if I just laced it up into that slate frame.
Yep.
And they are substantial. There's the like we've said this before, but you can pass these on to your kids, to your grandkids. They're meant to last. They're not like some of the stretcher bars that you like. Okay, I made a ton of holes in these. These aren't going to last for the next generation. No, they are meant to pass on. They are they're works of art. They're beautiful. Beautiful wood.
Well, the top, just to give people an idea, the top and bottom that have the webbing on them, those are essentially the same thickness as scroll bars that you would get from a Millennium frame or a mnemonic frame. Big, thick diameter dowel wood, solid wood. That's heavy wood too. And and then the side pieces with the holes in them are they're obviously thinner. They have to be, but they are really thick too. I mean, it's just solid wood. Like you can well, if you watch Jenny Aiden Christie's video about how to set up a slate frame, she stands that thing up on a table and stands up and just shoves down on it to get it tight. And the first time I watched it, like, lady, really? You push that hard? And with her frames, yeah, you can easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I think, especially for like you, Gary, you want your stuff so tight. You know this isn't going to bow.
Right.
It is not going to bend. It's solid. It's going to stay put.
Yep.
And that's nice. And that's nice, especially if you're working on something that's going to take you a while and that you want to spend a lot of time on. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to lacing. Lacing up the new slate frame. I've been thinking about it, and it's just a matter of getting the Kathy Andrews piece out. I think I need to iron it, and then putting it on there and stretching it. And
yeah. But it's the kind of thing where you look at the price for her slate frame, which is not horrible, but they are, they're pricey.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And you go, ugh, for that? Yeah, think about how many years you'll use it and then divide that cost by, say, 10 years, and you go, yeah, okay. Worth the investment up front because it will be with you for as long as you want to stitch. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, I wonder, do people put needlepoint on it?
I wouldn't.
Do they put canvas? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think stretcher bars, adjustable stretcher bars are going to give you the same because it's so stiff to begin with. Right. Yeah, nah, I wouldn't bother. And I don't know if you lace that on the side with canvas, I mean, you'd definitely have to put tape on there to lace through, or it would just pull the canvas threads right out when you tighten it down.
Okay, but would they sew fabric on the edge?
I'd do something, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think the Royal School, I think they do everything on.
Yeah, that's right. They do.
Don't they?
Yeah, you have to do everything on a slate frame. So that means that there's a way to do it then.
Right. I was just a thought. Because it would be tight then. That's for sure.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, all right. Then we got a show. We're going to talk to Susan K. Williams from the Royal School here next week. Or this week. Anyway, coming up. So we'll ask her that question.
Yeah. That's a good, yeah. I'm just curious.
That's interesting.
I'm just curious. Yeah. So the only question now is, do we need trestles? How are we holding our slate frame?
That's the question. And I've been looking for trestles, just trying to find what I felt would be a good thing. And then I also said, well, somebody's got to have put together plans for a trestle, woodworker plans. And I found one. It was all done in metric, but that's okay. That looked pretty straightforward. Because if you think about it, all you really have to do is have a good miter saw, some straight lumber, a good miter saw, and a drill press, or a drill that you can make vertical holes in, not semi-vertical.
Right.
And then some hardware. I mean, they're not rocket science. And this particular plan looked fairly doable. But that was the only one I could find. So, because for some of these trestles, the prices people have, and I appreciate they designed them, they made them, they should get paid for it, not complaining. But I just think how much wood I could buy for that.
Right. And it's not for me, if I had a plan, I have woodworking people. I have people. If I could just talk them into doing it for me. But because I think, I've been using my slate frame for the casket, and I've been putting frame weights on the edge of a table and doing that. What I have for a stand, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
It's I need a little bit firmer. Something's wrong. It's just not working for me. So I've been putting it on a table with two, which works. It's functional. It does work. But I've been thinking, a slate frame, and where would I store it? When it's not in use. Because that's the other issue.
Yeah.
I don't have a dedicated studio like somebody I know.
Well, your kids have moved out.
They still come home and stay, though. It's not like
commandeer a room, Beth.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
They come home maybe 10 days a year. That's 355 more that
Yep. I'm thinking about it, but it just seems awfully cold. Okay, I'm packing up all your books. I'm taking over your bookshelves, and
yeah. Because 355 days of the year I live here, and you don't. Go for it, Beth.
Oh man, it's a thought. I can see my no. All my needlework books will fit up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those rooms are just sitting there occupying space, and you could be using them.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you where I'm at in my evolution here. So I have a Case Creation needlepoint stand with a clamp that I use for needlepoint, and then I have a Case Creation that the fold-up stand, the big one that clamps on either end of a scroll frame. But I also have this cheap Edmunds stand that I've modified with two arms that have dowels on the end, so I can just lay anything on top, not unlike a trestle. And I think that's where I'm headed, and a trestle would be ideal, but I think that's where I'm headed, is something where I can just lay whatever project I want to work on top. And then when I want to work on something else, take it off and put the next thing on top, and not have to mess around with a bunch of clamps and stuff. And if I want to turn it over, I just lift it up and turn it over. And it just seems to me like I could get to, like with a trestle, I could get to one stand that would work for stretcher bars, scroll frames, and slate frames.
And okay, so my boys very kindly made my arms longer, because I have something similar to the last thing you said, the Edmunds, that they had put together for me, because we had wood, and I have woodworkers. But the arms are still not long enough for Dawn to Dusk to put it long ways. It's that piece is huge. It's just huge. And they said, well, should we make you longer arms? And I said, you can. I don't normally work on something this long, this big. Most pieces I have are smaller, A, and B, I think it'll tip. And so they were kind of doing, physics on it. And they said, yeah, you could just put your foot on it, Mom. Or I said, or I could put a weight on the bottom of the stand. But I think a trestle would give you that option. It's not that much wider. The width is fine. It's the length of it, so that you can reach where you're stitching.
Mm-hmm.
And so a trestle, you'd stick it, you just make it nice and narrow while you're working on that section, and then you You could make it wider as you're working on a different section. That's the advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where I'm headed. Whether I buy one or make one, I think that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the arms that I put on this Edmunds thing are 20 inches long. So I can lay a pretty good sized piece on there. But I don't remember how long Dong to Dusk is, but
No, it won't fit.
It's too big. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because mine is at least 20 inches now. And because I just did quick math here, and it's not long enough.
Mine it's the base is stable, but then you have that single column that comes up, and then when I stitch, it wobbles all over the place. And so I kind of have to adapt to that, but it'd be real nice if it sits still. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, even if they made the arms longer, like I said, I think you're going to have the center of gravity is going to be off, and you're going to have to I would have to put a weight,
right,
bag of books or something on the end, because it would be too far away for me to hit with my feet.
Yeah.
The legs are. So, it's, a trestle frame might be the way to go.
Then I'm going to come back to, there's probably a reason that the Royal School uses slate frames and trestles for everything.
Yes. And we should ask her, especially, if you could you're going to make yours so it's the right height for your chair, but it would be nice if it went up and down, because I do move from chair to chair sometimes. And it's like, okay, so this is a little too short. I need to bring my stand up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's closer to me.
This design that I found has multiple holes that allow you to adjust height and angle. Because
see, that would be nice.
Yeah. You have to be able to adjust the stand up and down. And not every project or technique, in my opinion, works at the same height. Like sometimes I like, I might be working on a project where I want it a little lower or a little higher. Maybe that's just me being crazy,
and for some reason, working on my casket piece, I want that flat versus at an angle. Why? I have no clue.
Well,
but I have a hard time. And maybe it's because some of it you're couching.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that laying flat on my piece as I couch the threads down. I like the piece going across, not wiggling around. I like it flat,
right.
Still. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, but that's exactly my point. Yeah. Depending on the technique and the project, you want to be able to adjust so it's most comfortable to work on. And I can see where couching on a flat piece would work better.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, the quest continues, but yeah, I think I'm going to be getting away from clamping projects to a stand and more toward the trestle, lay it on top thing. And you can always put a clamp on a trestle too. But I got this wobbly. This works great, but it just wobbles, and I have no idea why I had to reach over and wobble it when I said it wobbled, because
it's like but okay. And here's the thing:
can you show us that stem stitch again?
Yeah. Here's the thing: we're talking. We've been doing needlework, for years, right?
Yep.
If we invest in a trestle that works, how long is that going to last us? For the rest of our stitching time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's worth it. If we can find a tool that works to help us stitch longer, and more comfortably, it's a good thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I got to get my woodworkers to work.
Yes. Well, I have to study this plan more, but I think I can chop up some wood and get some hardware and put it together without too much trouble, he said.
He says.
Yeah. I've seen that movie way too many times. Way too many times. All right. That's going to be it.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.